Hi everyone, welcome to Photomode Unplugged. I'm Ruben, this is Mick, and we are your hosts. Hi.
Hello. By the way, do you remember in the first episode you said by episode 5 it will still be this bad?
This is episode 5 and
This
it's
is
still
episode
that
5.
bad.
Is it still this bad? Because you were talking about
Yeah.
the intro at the time. So how do you feel about your intros?
Bad. It's cringe to do the intro, to
Yeah.
look straight at the camera and talk. Please follow and subscribe. Leave your comments below. Ring the bell.
gotta add that
It's
in.
cringe. It's cringe.
It is.
I don't
That's
know.
why I let you do it.
Oh, thank you.
You just need a catchphrase and then you can start with that.
Okay. I have none.
We'll work on
I
it.
don't have. Okay.
Suggest your
we will-
catchphrases in the comments.
Oh yeah, please, a simple one because my English it's
Are you not English?
No, I'm not.
Oh, you never
You have
mentioned
a
it.
better you have a better podcast voice because you are English.
Yeah, the audience has
So it's been a while. It's been 2 weeks.
We're already out of practice of doing this, so
Yeah,
something's going to
clearly.
go wrong now because we did a double, so that meant we had a week off, which seems like ages ago now. But yeah, what have you been up to? I know some of what you've been up to, and we'll come to that. I'm going to ask you in a minute. But what else, apart from the big thing, have you been up to in the last 2 weeks?
Honestly,
Have you
I
forgotten?
can't remember.
You-
Yeah, it's like the days just passed by. A lot of Horizon Forbidden West, a lot of preparing for the big thing, and some Marvel Snap. I think. Oh, I saw Wakanda Forever.
You saw
Something that Wakanda Forever, the movie Black Panther, Wakanda Marvel. Yeah.
what? Yeah.
That's
It's a good one. Yeah.
yeah. So today I found out that you never saw the first Avengers.
No, I just it's just superhero films are they're just so homogenous to me. Like they're all meh, whatever. They don't make me want to watch them. And if I do watch one, I just don't really care. So no, I haven't seen it.
What was the last one that you saw? Like
Oh.
new one that you saw?
I couldn't tell you because one, I don't remember, and two, I wouldn't remember which one it was. I've seen some of the Hulks and they're terrible.
Oh,
Like,
they are horrible.
Shockingly bad, but Batman.
You-
So I've just started writing a post for
Gotham
Gotham
Knights?
Knights. Yes. So I've been playing I've been trying to play Gotham Knights. I've hardly had any time to get on there actually, but I've started writing the post about that. And my first paragraph is, for me, the definitive Batman is Batman Returns, which you probably can't remember.
Jesus, you're so old.
Yeah.
Like
well,
there is a whole debate in comic book fans, comic book media fans. I don't know what's the actor that you connect with
in
with
Batman. Yeah, Michael
Yeah.
Keaton. Keaton.
No,
yeah.
no.
It is.
Well,
Well, it was who then?
It's Christian
George
Bale.
Clooney. Christian
No,
Bale.
it's Christian Bale.
He's
Yeah,
just
and yeah, and that's okay. That's Batman. It's supposed to be like
look,
that.
Batman Returns. It's a great Batman for a start. There's a jet-powered Batmobile that looks way better than all the others. It's got Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. It's got Danny
Okay.
DeVito as the best Penguin ever.
I can give you that. It's a great movie, and the aesthetic it's fantastic, but it's not the best Batman movie ever.
I said definitive. So as in,
Oh.
that's all it needed. They could have ended it there. The rest don't matter. It's done.
Okay.
Anyway, so we'll move on because this isn't a Marvel or a DC. What's the difference?
Podcast. Oof.
That-
There is a,
That's just one to
that's
incite the fans.
Yeah, that's
I don't
something
know
that
the
we can
difference
agree on.
between Marvel and DC. Tell me in the comments.
I agree with you. There is no difference. So yeah.
But anyway, so the other thing I want to ask you about is Lisbon Games Week. How was it?
Okay, so I have to be honest with you. when I arrived to Lisbon Games Week, the whole thing was already on, and I had no part in the actual setting up the gallery. I only gave my initial pitch, initial pitch, and it was accepted. So I thought that's how it's going to look.
Okay, but for anyone who doesn't know, then you've just had a virtual photography gallery of people's shots on show. You're assuming that everybody, has seen your post. All right.
No. We have been talking about this in the past episodes. So yeah, if this is your first episode, we just have at the first virtual photography gallery in Portugal. 10 different artists, actually 10 different pictures from 8 different artists. Okay. And myself, apart from them, were present in the biggest gaming event in Portugal. There is no argument there. There are very few gaming events in Portugal. So yeah, they can say that. But I'm sure that was the first one. And I had no part in actual building the thing. I gave the initial pitch on how I thought it should be. Mm-hmm. For all intents and purposes, that was accepted. So when I arrived there, I was actually quite disappointed because it wasn't how I pitched it.
Okay. But so what were you aiming for? Different? Because I saw it was on white panels and sort of foam board prints, were they?
Yeah. First of all, it was supposed to be in frames and I don't know, photography paper.
Yeah.
Thing.
One thing I did notice, one of the ones that showed the light shining down, you could see the ripples in the board. I thought,
yeah. That was the first thing that I was okay, but it was actually in a pretty good location wise. Yeah. So to get to the main stage where all the esports events were happening, you had to go through that wall. Sadly, I didn't propose a wall. I proposed 2 and a corridor. So my first proposition was for people to get to that stage, you had to go through a corridor with both sides were. So instead of that, they did a single wall, and both sides had pictures. So,
I see what you mean. So they're on up. You couldn't see both from. I get it.
Yeah. So that was the big thing that disappointed me, is that people weren't able to see them all at once. So there were many people that saw one side and didn't saw the other. But, so and there was nothing saying virtual photography or what virtual photography is, and that was also one of my pitches, but not pitches.
That's my pitch, bitch.
But yeah, they were super apologetic about that. So they explained why that happened, and they were super nice to me. They tried to cover it on social media as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So there was no issue there, and the reception was crazy good. So there were a few people that were oh, they are drawings.
Okay, so they thought they are just artwork.
Yeah, or they are, because right before that it was the artist alley where you could actually buy fan art. So that mistake made some sense. But once they realized what they were okay, these are from the studios. And then they looked at, we placed a little watermark with the name of the artist and the game. And once I started to explain, they were oh, but I do that. I actually take photos in Photomode. Yeah. Is there a community out there? Where are you on Instagram, on Twitter? Because those are basically the 2 only social media platforms.
No, I'm on Hive.
Yeah, it still wasn't a thing during Games Week. But yeah, and then there was this one that I was really happy about. It was a professional photographer that had her work printed in several magazines and whatever. With the excitement, I didn't ask her name.
Oh, well, you should ask for a card. You take business cards to these things.
But she was like really excited that she was, I don't want to say old, but she was definitely older than me. Like she was experienced. But she said that like this is really, really good. Like that to see young people finding new ways into photography and that kind of conversation that usually older people have, and it was
wiser
really cool
people
to see.
Is what you're getting at.
Wiser,
Not these young mavericks who've no idea what they're doing or why. They need the more experienced ones to give them direction. That's really good because I've not actually spoke to you about any of the reception, and that's what I was most interested to hear. I love the fact that it was just out there on display. The fact that people were seeing it and thinking that they were like studio proper promo things is a massive compliment in itself. But just like you said, for anyone who's involved in creative processes in other ways, especially photography, to see it and to really get it and to appreciate it, brilliant. That's it.
I had a few multimedia students. So Lisbon Games Week gives you a free entry if you are not if you are a student, but to schools. They reach out to schools. Like if you want to bring your students, they can enter for free.
Yeah.
So the first 2 days, it's basically students.
Yeah.
and I had a few that were like, okay, this is interesting because I am studying photography, video, and whatever. This is a new way. Some of them asking me, can this be applied? Can you use photography in photo mode, video in photo mode? Like, and I gave a few examples. Like, there are a few like with animations like Ratchet and Clank and Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Then I was looking for your video, but I couldn't find off the Ghost of Tsushima, the blade.
Oh, with the glint, the sword glint.
Yeah,
because that was with the camera movement as well.
I wanted to show that.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice feature actually. Warframe has it, but it's quite complicated. And Kenna in at least the version 2 update has got it, but it's only between 2 points on Kenna. Just add some ends into Kenna there. Or Keena. That's the other debate. Is it Kenna or is it Keena? I don't know. I go with Kenna. And yeah, it's only between 2 points. But I'd like to see more of that. Just being able to sort of pan around things and just these nice... In fact, does The Last of Us have it? Part 2?
Well, I haven't... The part 2, it doesn't.
I remember trying to do something with it of orbiting the character, but I might have just been manually controlling it. I think
it's possible.
Ignore that one.
In maybe part 1, I wonder if much as so there is this person on Twitter. You probably have seen them like Much 1-3 whatever. And they do a lot of transition videos. And since you can skip frames in The Last of Us Part 1, it would be cool to see like mid animation and then you skip a frame and then you do you go out of photo mode and you continue like the combat. I don't know if it works better in my head than the execution.
I think his of the people that do the gameplay videos and stuff, his are the most skillful and the most like pre-planned. You know, the transitions that you say are pretty incredible. Yeah. So that's really good. Back to the Games Festival thing. Next time on stage then.
Okay, so about next time, I had some. I'm very bad at networking, so I suck.
Ironically,
Yeah.
Mr. Social Media, do it in reality. Oh!
Yeah, but in reality, I'm not at all like that. Like approach like even some people that I engage on Twitter were there, like game journalists, and I was like, hi.
Yeah.
I didn't like, yeah, but other people are very good at networking. So I was approached by two brands to do follow-ups, and even the organization of Games Week talked about next year. So that's very cool. And one of them actually wants to do this whole thing in Portugal, so it's quite big. I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but if it does, it's going to be really cool. And I don't think it was ever done so anywhere. So if that happens, I will flip out.
This is the great thing of, like we've talked about before, of meeting in person is so much more engaging, so much more comes out of it, and I can't wait to get to more in-person events and things, just because trying to put this together via email or DMs or LinkedIn, whatever, it's just too difficult to actually get hold of the person. But when they're stood there in front of you, they get the enthusiasm.
We have to book the trip to Gamescom.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We'll go there. I'd like to go there with a stand. I'd like to go there with a booth, but it's pretty expensive. I did look at it.
Photomode Unplugged booth. Let's do one of these live at Gamescom.
We might need a sponsor for that.
Hey, PlayStation. Hey, Red Bull.
Oh,
anyone?
Yeah, well, I'm working on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Don't get over excited about that, but I'm working on it.
Oof. I love that. Like, you really, really like to tease stuff.
It just comes naturally. I like a phrase called being economical with the truth, and that it's just a nice way. You can apply it to teasing, you can apply it to lying. You just let people assume things that you haven't necessarily said, and you just don't say not. Yeah, it works.
Okay, so before we move on, I want to ask you something about your time. First impressions from the Gotham Knights.
Yeah. I have two very different first impressions. One,
it's the game.
Of the game.
And the other is the photo mode.
Exactly.
Like everyone.
So, yeah, and I'd heard opinions about it beforehand. I hadn't actually read any reviews or anything. I'd heard opinions of people, the game's not very good. And the game's not very good. I mean, it's not.
Surprise.
It's not terrible. It's just really bland. The city itself looks nice, but it's so empty. There's like hardly any traffic. Very little actually going on. You compare it to Spider-Man or Arkham Knight is probably the closest comparison for it. It's just very dead. The gameplay, the combat it looks fluid, as in what you see on screen looks nice, and they do lots of sort of acrobatic moves and things, but it doesn't feel like it's really connected to you. You just end up mashing square, and I might hold square.
From what I heard, it's like it's pre-rendered animations that you don't control. It's like your moveset. Yeah. It's like a turn-based thing that you do a thing. Yeah. The animation happens, and then you have to wait and do another thing.
It's not to that extent. So you will maybe press square 4 times, and he does the combo, and then you can hold square by the 5th time, and he'll end it with a different one. But it just doesn't feel like you're. The perfect opposite example is God of War. The way that really feels like you're connected to the axe, and you feel the impact of it. There's none of that at all. And the rest of it sort of just feels like a little bit of a naff Spider-Man copy. In terms of like the interior environments, again, really nice, but like walking around there, I was just like, it doesn't engage me. But I've not got that far in it yet, so I hope that some of the main missions are improved, because like the first one basically just has you doing patrol tasks. I was like, what? Is the main mission just a side mission? But the opposite, the photo mode, really good actually. I'm quite impressed.
I've seen so many great shots from it that I was like this. I was split between getting Miles Morales for PC or Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
I went with Miles Morales.
Yeah, because you've not got enough pictures of Spider-Man.
No, it's my Christmas game.
Yeah.
It's like when it's close to Christmas from the past 3 years, it's perfect for that. It's like
it's
wintry.
Anyway, yeah,
it's wintry. It's cold, and it's a great game to stream.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm only playing it on stream.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, you're right. There is some really good pictures of it, and you've got 4 different and quite stylish characters, and there's like 15 separate costumes. And like you can tweak each costume, so you put a pair of different gloves and boots and badges and whatnot. It's pretty good. But yeah, just the game.
I think it's going to be if the devs continue to support it, it's going to be a No Man's Sky, where in a year from now, it's going to be good.
Yeah, because that's an interesting. It's got drop in, drop out co-op.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't tried that, so I don't know yet how the photo mode works or not.
I heard that you will have a really bad time if you try to finish the game solo.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh. So, yeah.
Well, maybe I won't finish the game. Anyway. So, yeah, the other thing that we were going to talk about happened in between us not recording, which was the announcement of the Forspoken photo
and you
mode.
talked about it on Twitter.
So I did 2 things. One, I just quote tweeted it, which got quite a lot of a response, so we can cover some of those replies that we got. And then I wrote a blog post about it, which got not so big a response. That's how it goes.
Welcome to Twitter.
But, yeah, I guess it's just that the first one when it was new got it the quickest. That's fine. A lot of people are really just pleased that it's been announced, because obviously I forgot that everybody didn't know yet that it had a photo mode, because I already knew as of like 6 months ago, because it was supposed to be involved in a particular contest, and because the game ended up being delayed, obviously it was pulled out from the contest. But yeah, I already knew about it, I just hadn't seen it. So was it a surprise to you? I thought it was kind of a given.
Yes, because Square Enix don't really do photo modes, especially. Okay, that's not necessarily true. Their Western division do photo modes. Mm-hmm. Tomb Raider, Marvel's Avengers. Hitman 3 wasn't there. They weren't involved in that anymore. But those 2 come to mind. Marvel's and Avengers and Tomb Raider. So from what I've heard, from what I understand, Forspoken is mainly being developed by a Japanese team. I might be wrong in that.
It is a Japanese studio. They're called Luminous Productions, who made Final Fantasy 15, I think. So that's not really one to go off. I mean, if you're going off of Final Fantasy photo mode, there's 7 Remake Intergrade, which is one of the worst names in history, and that's not a good photo mode. Another Square Enix one.
From the Japan division.
I'm not sure.
Kingdom Hearts 3 has a mode. It's not. You have two things in Kingdom Hearts 3. The first one is that you get a smartphone.
Yeah.
The typical one.
Yeah.
And the other one that was a DLC thing. It's a mode that you can place the characters and their like animations and whatever, and you can like actually. It's like building a diorama, and then you can turn the camera, move the camera. It's like a photo mode. After you build your diorama, you have a photo mode. Completely.
I'd like to see more of that, to be honest, because that's a little bit more.
It sounds better than it was.
Well, okay, I'd like to see that done well, because that's the kind of thing you can do if you're working in engine. That if you're starting to place and do rigging of characters, I think it would be interesting to start giving people an accessible method of doing that.
Now that you mentioned, if that mode had something like Death Stranding's like movement of the body,
where you can twist, and
that would be cool.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of, at the minute you could make like a greatest hits of Photomode features and put together something really amazing. And someone at some point is gonna do it. I don't know who.
I don't think so.
I don't know. They definitely will.
I don't think.
Look, if they want to win the VP awards, then they're gonna do it.
I think it's going to be very hard to beat Ratchet and Clank.
What? Forever?
Not,
of course it's not.
Like, but okay, arguably before like Miles Morales, it was Horizon Zero Dawn. Like
I would never say it was the best. I would say Horizon Zero Dawn was the best starting point for people getting into virtual photography. One, the photo mode was all right. It was quite complete.
Yeah.
The time of day is crucial to it because you get lighting that you can adjust. The actual range of movement's pretty poor. I mean,
but you had poses and you could twist the.
You could turn her head. That was the best feature they added, was the look to camera. So she would like turn, and then you could leave her there, and that part was
something
excellent.
that I hate about Forbidden West is that in Horizon Zero Dawn she would turn the eyes,
and now it's straight
in
ahead.
Forbidden West,
I know. I don't know why they went backwards on that. But yeah, I always thought Horizon was a good place to start because there was such an active community around it as well. So it's a good way to get people into it because you kind of can join a really active fan base and take part, if you will. So that's why I think Horizon was a good one. Not necessarily technically the best one. You know.
I'm curious, which one do you think will be...
This is not the topic for today.
No, but
I'm joking.
Yeah.
What is the best photo mode right now?
No.
Oh.
Right now, it's Ratchet and Clank. It's not even a contest.
Okay.
You have near and...
But I don't like that. I don't like their implementation of that because...
Okay. That's a whole different topic. You are a photographer. You know how to
I know what f-stops are, yeah.
Yeah, you know that. For people that aren't photographers, it's so easy to understand near and...
But it's also easy. It requires more effort to make it look authentic. People just go, what I want to do is maximum blur of the background. And it doesn't look better. It's like when the things on reshade with that horrible swirly shit that they do. No thanks. I don't know what.
I tried that, and as soon as I understood how to do it, I gave up because I don't like how it's looks.
Horrible. No,
in some pictures, if you do it like slightly, not to the max, you can give a sense of motion, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But in most cases, it's like, ugh.
Yeah. But that's one of the things that you're saying you can't beat Ratchet and Clank. You can easily beat Ratchet and Clank, one, by adding shutter speed.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That was the feature that I was going to mention. That's if you put a photo mode like Ratchet and Clank and just add
Yeah.
shutter speed, that's enough. That would be enough. Tell me something.
Yeah.
I haven't played it yet. Is there motion blur similar to The Last of Us Part 2 in the new one?
In part 1, okay, so
Yeah.
it has got the option. It definitely doesn't work properly.
Yeah,
At least
like
the last time I played
part,
it didn't work properly. So it
yeah,
would either.
Part 2 didn't either.
Oh no, it's worse. The one in part 2 I could make reasonable use of, because essentially what that did was fade in the visibility of the in-game per pixel motion blur. So all they're doing there is going, right, this leg or weapon or whatever is moving, so we're going to just interpolate a few frames on those pixels. Now it seems like it's supposed to still do that, but let's say you swing a wooden block or whatever, the edges of it will blur, but the surface of it stays clear, and it just looks terrible. All it does is give it this weird fuzzy edge, and it sort of seems to blur the things in the background behind it of the trail where it's being. It just doesn't work properly, or it goes nuts and the whole character just goes like. So okay. I just haven't used it.
Okay, going back to Forspoken. Something that we have to talk about. The Japanese division often makes you put a watermark, a copyright watermark, so I'm very afraid of that.
Yeah, even Gran Turismo does it. It's really tiny right down the bottom, but it's there. It's easy removed also. But yeah,
I'm curious. You've seen most of the Red Bull entries. Did someone didn't have the watermark in there?
Well, there's. I mean, sometimes it's difficult to see it anyway, because I know of one particular picture, for example, that is kind of white in that region anyway, so you automatically wouldn't notice it. There's two things can happen in Gran Turismo depending on when you either if you press the create button on a certain screen, or if you do the export from the gallery. One of them puts the GT logo in the corner, the other one doesn't. And I think they might both, I can't remember, put the copyright. It's the world's smallest font, and you can barely even tell. It's
the Japanese. It's something to do with Japanese legal things that they have to put it there. But I wish they just got rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, copyright law is complicated, and it is different in different regions.
Place it in Japan. Like Japanese players have it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, they do localize, but anyway.
Like.
So whether Forspoken will have it, we don't know.
Remains to be seen. Yeah.
You can't even go off any of the press shots because they will put on copyright of themselves anyway, because they're press shots and things. So we don't know. The feature set, well,
it's quite extensive.
It looks quite good. And then now, so this comes to let me just read what because the reason this was interesting, right? It's not just the fact that it's getting a photo mode. So the text in the video says, photo mode features can be unlocked by completing certain side quests, which is what I posted about. I said, tell me what you think about that. And a lot of people told me what they think about that. There's two ways to read it. Now, at first, my immediate interpretation of it is additional features, as in you've got a photo mode, and the more you play the game, the more features of the photo mode you're going to unlock by doing side quests.
So your first impression was like you unlock contrast by doing a side quest.
I didn't. I didn't think specifically that kind of function.
Oh, okay.
I thought it meant you're going to unlock extra frames or stickers. It doesn't appear to have stickers, but you can imagine if it unlocked. I think Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man do it. In the stickers, you only unlock them when you've reached like a certain boss.
Yeah.
So
certain bosses and.
So that's kind of where I was imagining it, as in you reach a new location, you might get a frame that is themed to that location or a color filter, something like that. And I think in general, people would be happy with that direction.
I don't know. I've seen some people complain when one of the poses in Forbidden West was collector's edition only. So I don't know if people would be happy about it. I think it's interesting. I think it's a novel way to introduce photo mode into gameplay. Even if it's like you only unlock photo mode after doing one side quest, and then you go unlocking not the depth of field or whatever, but like certain functions over the game. I will be cool with that.
Well, that was the other interpretation of it. So, like I said, my first thought was additional features can be unlocked, as in when you've completed some. So that side quest gives you that filter. The next side gives you another one. The other interpretation of those words, go on.
Think about it. You do a side quest that is like go to a swamp, kill a venomous monster, and then you get a green filter, something that turns the. That's
I quite like that
that's
idea.
New and it's
So that's the best way to go. But what it might mean is photo mode features as a whole, as in you unlock photo mode by doing side quests. Now, at first, you might think, no, as your face immediately suggested. But if you watch the trailer again, the point where it shows this, it reverts back to a smartphone, like a really simplified smartphone overlay with the terrible vertical, the incorrect aspect ratio.
I might be wrong, but I'm going on. I think the main photo mode, the one that you clearly access by pausing the game and going into photo mode, it's going to be 100% available since the start. And then what you unlock, because that part of the trailer, photo mode features can be unlocked by completing certain side quests. I think this is on the phone. On the smartphone, you get access to like the filters from the photo mode and whatever. Yeah,
it could be that way around, but that feels like the opposite of progressional unlock, because that's like, hey, you've got a nice photo mode here. Here's a really crap version. Well done. Have this. Yeah,
but there are like in Spider-Man, you can like take off your camera and it's a crappy photo mode, and you can and there are side quests connected with like
shooting the monuments and
so that might be, it's possible that they saw that in Spider-Man and thought, let's do it too, because people seem to like it.
Well, I do think that's what the side missions will be, I reckon. So bear in mind that this is someone taken from modern day New York, and she's in this old fantasy world. Yeah. So she's going to have a smartphone with her. And I think those side missions will be use her smartphone to take pictures of whatever monuments again, or certain, I don't know, creatures and God knows what. And when you take pictures of the required locations, that might unlock the photo mode.
I know you don't watch anime at all, but there is an anime style, I don't know, category called isekai, and isekai is basically someone from the real world gets pulled to this is consider the worst type of anime.
Okay.
Well, like it's always super cringy, it's always super like oh my god, I now I slay dragons and stuff.
It's the cliche again, isn't it?
Yeah, and this gives you all the types of like a bad isekai, and I couldn't be happier about it. Like there is this one trailer, I don't know if you saw it, and I can send you because you will have a laugh about it, where the character is talking super over the top, like, I'm a New York girl, and now I'm slaying freaking dragons, and I'm talking to a calf, and it's super like over the top, and the lines are appearing, and the images on screen don't match what she's saying, and it's a super like cringe
Parody.
trailer. Yeah, but I love that. I really did like where I was like, oh my god, yes, give me this. This is like PlayStation 2 kind of game that like it doesn't happen. Yeah,
that's a good point. They take themselves too seriously these days, don't they?
Yeah, and I love this. I love that they were like, we can have a photo mode, let's do it differently, even if it doesn't work. And another thing, one of the main writers in here is Amy Hennig, the creator of Uncharted.
From Uncharted, yeah.
So
I didn't know that.
This game has everything to work. It was one of the first games to be announced for the PS5. Back then it was Project Athia.
Yeah.
And I seen, I know you know him, Oren Kaufman, the previous guy from Santa Monica. He back then he said it was one of the best games.
Well, of course
playable,
he did, because he was at Square Enix at the time.
Yeah, but he was freaking out about the visuals and the way like it seemed genuine and not necessarily like marketing wise. So yeah, I'm really pumped for this game.
I'm in a way I'm glad it was delayed, because
super.
It moves into the early year. There's always a bit of a space for something to do well, and I'm quite looking forward to it in that time.
It was delayed 4 times already.
Well, hopefully that doesn't leave it, because sometimes games get delayed and delayed and delayed, and you think it's going to be perfect now, and it still isn't.
No.
Cyberpunk. But yeah.
You still haven't reviewed that photo mode.
I previewed it.
You promised.
I didn't say when. So as long as I do it before shutting the website down, then I've kept my promise.
It's going to be the last one.
Before I go.
Cheers, the last review.
I might make that the thing. But yeah, I think it'll be good. It created a lot of interest in this unlocking of features, and it's raised quite a few questions. I mean, I'll just have a look at some of the comments now. So the general consensus was, if it's cosmetic stuff, if it's things like stickers, frames and whatnot, that's fine. So Novi says, if it's just stickers, frames, what I just said, then I've got no problem with it. But if it's key features, then I would not be happy. Photomode is not a piece of game that needs to progress as other aspects do. You kind of need the whole thing from the very beginning. Yeah. Page, it depends on what said features include. If it's just borders, stickers, and even some filters, then sure, that's fine. If it means core aspects of the photo mod, then not so much. That's kind of what
I can see why core aspects of the photo mode wouldn't be that interesting, but like, can you imagine a side quest where you are like defeating a dark thing, and that unlocks the contrast? Like, okay, the entire game isn't built around photo mode.
Yeah.
So if it was something like that, like the photo mode was the main focus of the game, and then you would unlock features, I can see people getting as excited as me about this kind of ideas. But I still think it's cool. Like at the start of the game, you get a free camera, like running around the character, and then you defeat like a flower, and that gives you saturation or vibrancy, and then you defeat. That would be so cool.
It would certainly generate a lot of conversation. And I'm all for people trying different approaches, because if everybody does the same thing all the time, nothing ever changes. Even if it works, nothing ever improves if no one tries something different. I mean, some games are using not so much photo modes, but they're using photography as a gameplay mechanic now. That's becoming more and more. There's like 4 or 5, 6 games doing it. And it's always the case where there's a new feature, a new function or whatever, and developers automatically try and think about how can we make it part of the game. I'm not convinced that's what's going to happen in Forspoken. I think it's go around with your phone, take pictures of these things, and you will get the photo mode as a reward. But I don't know. We'll see. There was some other mentioned previous games that have done it. So Poly VP PC says, reminds me of Ghostwire Tokyo. Photo mode is available from the beginning, but completing quests, you get more poses and emotes and filters as rewards. And I think that works.
Ghostwire is a Japanese game, so it could have affected.
Well, it's only just got a photo mode, hasn't it? Quite recently, I think it was added in updates.
It got since the very beginning, but it got
really
update. Yeah, an update now.
Yeah. Someone else mentioned Psychonauts 2.
In
Unlocking the
Psychonauts
photo mode was a side quest, but it gave you the whole photo mode, so you had to unlock the entire thing. So it could go either way.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like this, especially if it's the first side quest.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine this: you are a girl in New York, and they don't want you to capture New York, so they throw you at this new world, and the first side quest that you get unlocks the photo mode.
Well, that kind of raises one of the things that I was replying to people with when they're saying, especially the ones who thought it was a bad idea. It depends on how much when is it available. You know, like how much is required to get there. If it's about unlocking the entire photo mode, I think like that, when it's straight away, one, it takes away that, oh, I want it from the beginning, but it also sort of undermines any fun aspect of it being unlocked because it's trivial.
No.
So which would you prefer? Like to just have, I just do that. Basically, just like walk there, take one picture.
I spent the last few minutes saying what I prefer. I prefer everything to be locked by side quests. I want everything to be locked by quests, and people to start bragging online. I unlock the contrast by defeating the hardest boss in the game.
That would be interesting.
Imagine you only unlock depth of field in God of War if you defeat Singram.
I mean, I like the sentiment of it being this kind of badge of honor, like a trophy.
Yeah.
But by the time you defeat Sigrun, I'd probably be done. Not like, right, but now I can go and shoot.
Perfect excuse to replay the game again.
Ew. Not everybody's got enough time to do that. I don't think such an important feature should ever be held back. That's what we're getting at with functionality. Yeah,
I'm joking. Yeah. But I still now I'm going to pitch this game to someone. A game surround itself of the photo mode, and you unlock as you play.
Yeah, because then that literally is where the photo mode is the end game.
Yeah.
And you,
ooh, like that would be like the tagline. Photo mode is the end game.
Yeah. Which is the opposite of what Franz had to say, because his comment was, I think it defies the whole purpose of having a photo mod to begin with. If you unlock it only after doing side missions, you might even miss, or you have to replay parts of that you've already finished to shoot that. a useless limitation, in my humble opinion.
I agree with this, but also, like you said, if everyone does the same over and over again, nothing will change.
I also agree in a pragmatic way in terms of what's the most functional way to implement a photo mode. He's absolutely right, and having it there straight from the start, because it is a good point. And some of the other comments mentioned it about if you unlock it later on, I hope there's at least a new game plus so I can go back and have it in the early game areas, because there might be unique environments or costumes may change.
But maybe they don't want you to photograph that part of the game. Like,
why wouldn't they though?
I don't know. I'm not a game developer.
You should have thought about that before you said it.
No, let's imagine that they want to give you like a full range photo mode, but they don't want you to see the unrendered parts.
Yeah, but they already do that by limiting the bloody camera range, don't they?
Yeah, but let's imagine that the beginning of the game, it's not that focused on.
So you're saying that they haven't finished the early part of the game?
Not that, but like there are tricks. I remember the God of War. There are tricks, like when you are when Kratos is getting the blades of chaos and he is like
binding them. Yeah.
Binding them. You never see the arm. The arm is always off frame. On PC, if you go back, it's really weird. So those little secrets, maybe the start of the game is filled with them.
Could be.
And they don't want you to see. Yeah. So it's possible. It's weird.
I think they need to,
but it's possible.
Everything is possible. I think studios need to sort of get over that. I'm not fooled. I know that what a game exists like. I know that tree that's on the other side of the map doesn't look the same as this one right next to me. It's a different level of detail. That's fine. I get it.
Then you have a post going viral saying that Dead Space 2 looks better than God of War Ragnarok because someone, like, the face of Faye didn't fully render during that cutscene. And they grab that and go on social media, post it, and that post goes viral, and people start saying stuff like that. So I always said that the reason that you don't get more free range cameras, it's that they don't want you to see under the hood.
Would that be influential enough to affect sales though? Is it though?
It is. Believe me, it is. Some people, I kid you not, some people will wait for a massive drop in price before getting Ragnarok because that post went viral. That post got like 100,000 likes.
Fair enough.
So,
but they're mostly people who probably were unlikely to buy it in the first place anyway. So if you're going to wait for a sale, that's just the kind of excuse to wait for a sale. That's like the confirmation that you're happy to wait for the sale, but you were never really going to buy it. Yeah.
I don't know. I still think like one of the reasons why they don't give you one on The Last of Us is so that you don't see the freakers while they are in T-pose right around the corner. Like I'm sure most developers don't want us to see too much. Like how many years it was before that photo mode is an internal tool. It's something that is being used for.
Well, it's an adaptation of an internal tool.
Yeah. How many years did it took before that tool started to become this popular? That now there are two people from two countries doing a podcast about it. Like,
is that the sign? Is that the definitive photo mode has made it? There's a podcast.
Yeah, it is. We never researched if we are the first
podcast
about There was a photo mode about VP, the VP podcast.
Yeah, is that the one that Rich did? As in Photomode Addict?
Yeah.
So
but there was there ever one with two hosts like we do? Like
no, so he did it more of like your old Snap thing of talking to individuals. And yeah, I don't think... I certainly haven't seen this being done. Maybe there's a reason.
Well, we have too much free time. I have at least, so it's okay to try.
I definitely don't.
That's on you. You say yes to everything. So, we are getting a bit over time now.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Yeah, it's a good time.
No. I want the last topic.
Yeah.
Paid photo modes.
Okay. Yeah, that did actually come up a little bit in the comments in the Forspoken post. It'd be like, what next? We're going to be paying for photo mode. Paid. So, like you mentioned before, the pre-order things on Horizon.
Yeah.
And there was like a face paint and a pose, and they were exclusive, so you now can never get those, I presume.
I don't think we can. I seen the pose, and it's one that I wish I had.
The poses don't bother me really, because I always think, well,
you can see that it's a pose.
It's the same every time, unless they're editable. But whatever. Sifu was another one, because that had this, and I'm still not sure what the difference in the content is, but it said cinematic photo mode pack. That was in the pre-order.
What the heck?
I don't know, because you could never tell, because everybody had it. It was in pre-orders and like launch day, month, whatever. So basically, everyone who bought the game at the start had it. So you couldn't compare because nobody didn't have it. So I don't know what is not in if you don't have that. But
they are one of the only developers that don't let you tag them.
Yeah, that's strange. I always find that strange. Any big account that you can't tag in pictures.
I think that's why you don't see enough Sifu photos.
Could be. Yeah. But that shouldn't be a reason not to do it. But you're right. But would you buy a photo mode separately to buy in the game? Yeah. Would it depend on how interesting the game or the photo mode was?
Like,
you're treating it as DLC, essentially.
Yeah. I wouldn't buy it for a game that I didn't... Let's pretend it's like the new Pokemon has a photo mode. I haven't seen it. I've heard good things about it, but I haven't seen it, the photo mode. But let's pretend it's like Pokemon. I wouldn't buy it because first, it's on the Switch, so the resolution, it's pretty bad already. And second, it's not my graphics style, the style, the aesthetic of the game, it's not really what I usually capture. But now let's pretend it's a Dark Souls clone, something like medieval fantasy, and you have to buy. Yeah, probably even without trying the game. If the aesthetic pleased me, I would buy it. I wouldn't agree with the practice. I would disprove on it, but I would like to try a photo mode that they feel it's good enough that you have to pay it separately.
The cynical approach would always be that it's not because it's better by being paid for, it's just you're withholding something that should be in the game and making me pay extra for it.
Isn't that a bit what's the term? It's not spoiled.
Entitled.
We take it for granted. Entitled.
Yeah.
We because it's always been free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you assume it always should be.
Do you play fighting games?
I used to.
Like Tekken, Street Fighter. Okay, Tekken. You had to play to unlock characters.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to pay them.
Yeah.
in the beginning, everyone was like, "Oh, I would never pay." Now, everyone pays.
People do, yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's not right, but now it's industry standard, and you don't want it, you don't buy it.
Well, that's the thing, that it's always, you're never forced to buy anything.
Yeah.
And, there's, I can't really think of any offhand, but is there any examples where you have to buy the multiplayer mode of a game? I can think of somewhere they sell it separately as a standalone.
Yeah, there is the other way around, but no, I don't think there is. There is one big example where the true ending is hidden behind a paywall. Azura's Wrath for the PS3.
Okay.
The true ending of the game
is in DLC.
Is hidden behind the paywall.
I know that.
It's one of the most in the early days of like PS3 and sharing stuff on YouTube. It was like, I believe, the most saw ending on YouTube. Like the video was like crazy high compared to the numbers of the time.
Just watch that instead of buying it.
Yeah. Because it's one fight and the ending cutscene.
Right.
But yeah, if they don't make you do it, like one thing, it would be like you click the share button and it wouldn't even work.
Oh, that would be very controversial, because that's paying to unlock functionality of the console again, because you should still be able to screen capture it or video record or whatever.
Yeah, so if they did that, I would be like...
We're not endorsing that.
Yeah, not at all.
Before you get any
Please
ideas.
Don't do it. But if they did that, like... But then again, they don't even do that for embargoes, so...
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that...
I have had embargoed games that have had a block on screenshots.
I know in Persona 5 there are certain parts that you can't take a screenshot, you can't record, you can't do anything. Like, okay, if they did that, that would be too much. But if the photo mode was behind a paywall, it's like, it's just another feature that someone is going to do it.
Probably.
Someone will.
Because everybody in business tries everywhere that you can to make money. So it would kind of come down to what the cost of the game is and what the additional cost of the photo mode is, I think.
$10 for a photo mode.
10?
Yeah.
On top of what, a 70 for the game?
Yeah.
You're going to get some stick in the comments.
I believe
people
that,
like you causing this.
Yeah, but I believe if the interest on photo modes rises enough to the point where buying a character in a video game, in a fighting game, did rise. It's something like that. A character pack, like 3 characters, is around $10 to $15. I wouldn't be surprised because it's not only free marketing for them, but you are paying to market their games. It's the perfect business model, and I have no idea why no one has ever
not
tried.
endorsing this. But actually, it reminds me a little...
Give me a call. We can talk. I can help you with that.
It's just made me think of Little Big Planet, actually, because I referenced Little Big Planet as one of the things that got me into photo modes, and it didn't directly, but it's getting me into content creation and sharing things that I've created in a game. And in that, you can always buy Sackboy costumes, but you could also buy level kits. So like they did a Metal Gear Solid themed level pack, and you would get like the red lights and the all the sound effects that went with Metal Gear, and it made your level creations better.
You could apply that to other levels that had nothing to do with Metal Gear.
Yeah. So that was exactly the same thing. It's chargeable creation tools. It's already been done in that way.
Isn't it being done right now with camera tools?
Third-party ones, yeah, definitely. And people are paying for them. So, yeah.
So, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's not.
Yeah.
Friends does unbelievably good work, and he's been doing it for years before he even started to ask for money. So he is, but people are already paying for it. So
it's a good example. Yeah.
So if a developer ever catches up that France is like has this whole community like paying for camera tools, maybe not a developer, but like a business type guy, one of the suits looks at the camera tools, looks at the photo mode. There is money to be made.
Yeah. So that is essentially people paying for a better version or more freedom.
Okay. Or even games without photo modes having photo modes
to enable it in Unreal Engine games. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it inevitably when a publisher does it. So who's going to be the first to do it is probably going to be someone like Ubisoft. You know, one of the.
Oh, I don't think so. I think.
Activision. Activision don't really do photo mods anyway. Activision and EA would be the ones who would do it.
I think EA is probably the first one to do it because Ubisoft has a big.
They would take a big hit from their community reputation. It will.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ubisoft, EA have some racing photo mods, don't they?
Yeah,
they're still not big on them. And I know from some of the guys in the EA creators group that internally they're not really big on it. And they're certainly not big on taking on more virtual photography content creators right now.
So, they also published Fallen Order.
Yes,
and that has a very popular...
Yeah.
That has a very popular photo mode. I would be.
I mean, obviously the photo mode itself comes down to the studio there. It's Respawn, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Respawn is very player friendly.
Yeah.
Even Apex used to be very player friendly. I have no idea right now, but at the start it was with the microtransactions and stuff. It was very shit. So I am curious to see who the first one. Activision never did a photo mode. If they ever did, if they ever there is photo modes out there.
Well, I mean, Xbox needs at least one
photo mode.
So yeah, so if Microsoft and Activision get together, that'll be it.
Ooh, that's another thing. Yeah. So if they didn't do it until now, they are definitely not doing it once Microsoft fully acquires them.
I mean, I was joking there a little bit because Microsoft don't have anywhere near as much. But Forza, for example, has an excellent photo mode. Forza Horizon, Microsoft Flight Simulator, they are there, but they just don't really push it and engage as much.
But aren't those PC first and Xbox after?
They're kind of just the same, aren't they? An Xbox is basically a living room.
Flight Simulator released first on PC and then on console. And I only recently with Game Pass started to connect Forza with Xbox, so that might be a misconception on my part. But yeah. Okay. Would you pay for a photo mode?
It would depend on the game, and it would depend on the cost, to be honest. If it was something new that came out and I thought I'm not desperate for it, I would probably end up like I've done with other games when they release DLC for it, is you kind of wait for a bundle, because then there'd be this Game of the Year edition, and that would include the bundle of all the DLCs, and you'd expect there maybe to be something like that where you pick it up all together, and then you feel sort of that you've got it as a fair price. If, for example, let's take Ragnarok as the example here. This would be contentious, and it would be really bad if it came out after and then was charged, because you've already paid full price expecting to get that, and then they'd slap you with an extra fee. I'd be torn with that one. I'd probably not, just on principle. But if Ragnarok released, let's say, at £50 instead of 70 or 60, even if it was £5 cheaper, with then the option of making up the difference for the photo mode, yeah, because if it kind of amounts to what you would have been happy to pay originally with it included,
okay, yeah,
that could be an interest. They won't go that way. They never go that way of making the game, making the base game cheaper. That it never just happens.
Would you, if the photo mode was behind the collector's edition or the deluxe edition or whatever?
Oh, no chance. Because they're so expensive. I've only ever bought 2 collector's editions.
I'm seeing that. I'm seeing one of them.
Yeah.
It's been staring at me the entire show.
I'll leave it there. I'll bring it closer another time. It's slightly defocused right now, so you can't really see the details.
I don't want to see the details.
And I definitely wouldn't want to see it, the whole photo mod, not as something like that. I can't imagine there being some additional features in collector's editions or limited editions. But that's not really any different to having like costumes as part of that, armor sets.
Yeah,
because you would use
when people were complaining about the poses in Forbidden West, many people were talking about the costumes. Mm-hmm. They can be seen as photo mode features.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's something that you unlock in gameplay as well as there's ones that are pre-ordered, there's ones that are premium, but there's ones that you unlock by playing. So that's kind of a photo mode feature that's unlocked in gameplay. What's the difference?
So yeah, I don't know.
On that contentious note,
it's a weird topic to end up. I have one last question. What are we naming this episode? Photo modes and virtual photography.
Yeah, we've not thought of that yet. But in the next couple of days, we'll come up with one. It's episode 5, Lisbon photo mode unlocks, and I don't know.
Yeah, this one will be, because we usually have a very specific focus at the start.
Yeah, this is less focused.
Yeah. Let's hope it works.
So whatever the name ends up being, then I hope you like it.
Okay, leave your suggestions for the name in the comments.
You already have the name.
We can change it.
Leave your suggestions for what you think the name should have been. In the
Well, at Hive, the edit button is free. So
wow. That's the
join
future.
Hive. Yeah. Bye, everyone.